What's up everyone, and welcome inside the Octagon for this new video, in which we're gonna talk about a colossal fight in the UFC's heavyweight division. On January 22nd, Francis Ngannou and Ciryl GANE will face each other for the coveted UFC heavyweight title, and in this video, we're gonna discuss everything there is to know about this clash of titans. We're gonna talk about the tensions that have arisen between the two men, we'll see how both fighters see the fight unfolding, learn more about their respective training programs, before discussing why this fight could be Francis's last in the UFC, and we'll wrap it up by discovering the predictions of several UFC fighters and mine. You're in the Octagon, so put your guard up and get ready to eat some fist salads, because today we're gonna talk about Ciryl GANE versus Francis Ngannou, the clash for the heavyweight throne. Let's do this. In the past couple months, the tensions between the two former training partners have reached unprecedented levels. The first major incident took place in November 2021 when both men were in New York for UFC 268. When they bumped into each other backstage, Francis completely ignored his former teammate and his former coach and continued walking without even looking at them, leaving the team in total disbelief. When asked if he ignored Ciryl because he has a problem with him, here's what Francis had to say.
Obviously there's a rivalry. We are going to fight. We're going to step in the octagon and we're going to try to take each other heads off. Besides that, there is no rivalry or bad blood, as you said. We never been friends, but we never been enemies. I don't personally have a problem with him.
Francis also added in another interview,
If he wasn't Gane, if I walk by Gane, I would say hi.
If it's just him,
well, if it's just him, I would say hi, what's up?
His reaction seems to have been directed towards the other person that was present during the incident, Fernand Lopez, Francis's former coach, with whom the Predator had several problems.
I couldn't just go knowing what the allegation and all the lies that Fernand has been saying to me since 2-3 years, but he's out there picking on me, so I couldn't just go to him pretend everything's cool. No, I mean, I have no problem, but it's not cool.
Another incident that added fuel to the fire was the release of sparring footage between the two athletes who trained together at the MMA factory in Paris a few years ago. After watching these videos, many analysts and fans said that Gane seemed to be the more technical and precise striker, which drew a big reaction from the Cameroonian.
I mean, when I saw that footage, my first reaction was laughing. Because I know exactly what happened at those training section. There was a lot of footage, but a lot of them never came out and will never come out. And I know for a fact that they will never come out. It's about to make him look better and make me look bad.
Ciryl tends to agree with Francis here, as he said in an interview, I think he's right. I think this video makes me look good. Clearly, this video makes me look good. I'm an honest person, I'm not gonna lie. It was a pretty light sparring and I was able to easily develop my game, There were other sparring sessions where he made me more uncomfortable than I made him uncomfortable. Fernand Lopez said that if they had wanted to harm Francis's reputation, they could have released other videos, and one in particular where Ciryl allegedly knocked down the Predator with the knee to the liver. Although he seemed quite upset by the release of these videos, Francis was still complimentary about Gane.
What I do remember, and even from there, was his speed, his movement for a big way, for a big guy. That was very impressive.
But these videos definitely left him with a bitter taste, because he added,
Ciryl GANE knows who is Francis. I mean, just like playing around with him, as you play with your little brother, he knows me from that. And yet, haven't seen me in my beast mode.
Things are definitely starting to heat up between both fighters, and the fight promises to be electric, especially if the UFC sets up a press conference right before the fight. We're now gonna discover the predictions of both athletes for this fight for the belt, starting with the one of Francis. As you can imagine, from a guy who's got 12 wins by obliteration, for him it's pretty straightforward.
I think Ciryl is gonna try to avoid the fight, bounce, play around, throw some kick, throw some punch and move. But my prediction is that he's gonna get caught on the 2 round. Of course, knockout.
as soon as I lay my hands on him, the fight is over. I just have to be patient and wait for the perfect opportunity.
As for Bon Gamin, he also sees himself winning this battle, but in a completely different manner. I think I'll get my hand raised at the end of the 5 rounds. I'll get my hand raised after 5 rounds, or maybe I'll finish the fight earlier with a submission or something like that. I'd really like that. Many are wondering which version of the Predator will be in the octagon when the bell rings, and if he'll start the fight by trying to punch a hole in Cyryl's head like he did against Rosenstruck, or if he'll be more technical and patient like he was against Miocic. Here's what Gane had to say regarding that.
He's more intelligent, and that's really great. He's really well-rounded now. I think it's gonna be more like that, because I can manage the power. He's sure to be a smart fighter this day.
Francis, on the other hand, seems pretty surprised that Ciryl thinks he can manage his power because he replied,
Maybe by going to the floor, because that's what I know. He knows that as well, as I'm able to put somebody in the floor. So that might be what he means by that. I know how to take away his power. By getting down, that's how he took away my power.
We'll see which version of the Predator is in the octagon when the bell rings, but only one thing is for sure, it's that this fight cannot come soon enough. On top of his chaotic relationship with Ciryl and Fernand Lopez, Francis also seems to be in bad terms with the UFC, and that's what we'll discuss now. On January 22nd, Francis will fight the last fight of his UFC contract, and he may not re-sign with the organization because of disputes surrounding his contract. While many are underlining the financial side of things, saying that Francis isn't getting paid enough by the UFC, others believe that the dispute actually stems from the fact that the Predator wants to be able to fight in boxing in parallel to the UFC. Francis mentioned in an interview that if he was gonna resign with the UFC, boxing would have to be included in the contract because he doesn't see himself retiring without having boxed. Here's what Dana White had to say about the situation between Francis and the UFC.
These things happen sometimes. You don't always come to terms with people. When you're a fighter, we just had this conversation a minute ago, you gotta be careful who you get to represent you, because that's what they do. I don't think he said the best representation. If you wanna be with us, love to have you, You don't want to be with us? No problem.
It should also be mentioned that if a UFC champion successfully defends his belt, his contract is automatically extended by 1 fight. Therefore, if he wins, Francis will have to have at least 1 more fight for the UFC, but if he loses, he could decide not to resign with the organization to try his luck in boxing. Although the situation seems very tense, Francis is trying not to give it too much importance.
The situation is what it is, but what I try to do is not to let anything step into me and the fight, because at the end of the day, I'm not allowed to get distracted by anything. He will be on me if I get something wrong. I signed up for this fight, so I better take it seriously and focus on it, and we're gonna deal with that after.
Feel free to let me know in the comments if you think that Francis would actually have his chances in boxing against opponents such as Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder. Let's talk about the training programs of these 2 titans in preparation for their fight, starting with the one of Bon Gamin. We actually wanted to do something that we haven't been able to do since I started MMA, which is a strength program. So we started by doing that. According to Lopez, this 4 months program allowed Ciryl to go from 242 to 251 pounds while keeping his movement and his speed. It is understandable that Gane wants to put on some muscle, especially when we saw what it cost Miocic to arrive too light for his rematch against Francis. As for the Predator, he said he hasn't changed the way he trains too much because he considers Ciryl as a very similar opponent to Stipe Miocic, a heavyweight with a lot of movement and good technique. Francis also brought in Rico Verhoeven, the current Glory Kickboxing heavyweight champion and one of the pound-for-pound best kickboxers on the planet, to train with him for this fight. It is also worth mentioning that Francis recently published a picture of his physique, and many people pointed out that he looked thinner than usual, meaning that he could have lost some muscle to improve his cardio. It seems that we have here 2 very different fight camps. On the one hand, we have Ciryl, who's gaining muscle to get ready to deal with Francis's power, and on the other hand, we have Ngannou losing some to be able to compete with Cyryl's cardio. This fight promises to be fascinating. Let's wrap things up by discovering the predictions of several UFC fighters, and then I'll give you mine. First, let's have a look at the prediction of a man who faced both of them, Derrick Lewis.
I would like for Gane to win. He seemed like a good dude. Seemed like a likable guy, outside of fighting. So I prefer him. Francis, it is what it is. I always fuck that guy.
Next, let's have a look at Khabib Nurmagomedov's prediction.
Сейчас для меня, я считаю, что лучший тяж сейчас в ММА это Ciryl GANE. Не, я думаю, что Ciryl GANE выиграет. Финальное мнение, я считаю, что Ciryl GANE как боец ММА лучше.
Here's what Stephen Thompson thinks of the fight.
Ciryl GANE, I think, is the technician. I think he's faster. I mean, he's got some power, but Ngannou, man, he can hit you with one little shot on the tip of the nose and put you to sleep. I think it's going to be difficult, man, for both, but I'm going to lean towards a man, Ngannou.
As for my prediction, well, I still haven't managed to decide because this fight is a real mystery to me. I think that if Francis cannot land one of his famous African nukes in the first 2 rounds, Ciryl will tire him out and overwhelm him to win by decision. However, if he manages to land on Gane in the first 2 rounds, I think that the Predator will win the fight by knockout. Best I can do here is to give you my prediction for these 2 possibilities. If Francis manages to catch Ciryl in the first 2 rounds, he will win by knockout, but if the fight goes past 2 rounds, I see Gane winning the belt by decision. As you can see, I still haven't made up my mind, but maybe you have, so don't forget to give me your final prediction for this fight in the comments below. Although this fight is surrounded by uncertainty, one thing is for sure, it's that if you watch it live, you'll be biting your nails as soon as the bell announces the start of this clash of giants. Make sure you're in front of your TV on January 22nd so you don't miss this electric fight, which will undoubtedly be one of the most important in the history of the UFC's heavyweight division. That's it for today's video. As you can probably hear, I'm not a native English speaker, but I'm a French YouTuber who thought he would translate his videos, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, otherwise I'll tell my friend Terry to break into your house on January 22nd and smash your TV as soon as the fight starts, and I'll see you very soon for a new video. See ya.